I want to start the weekend off by talking about Arsenal and Manchester City, the Super Sunday game that we had yesterday. Interesting game, wasn't it? It was an interesting game from the way that Arteta didn't seem to approach it in a way that everyone felt like he should do with the starting 11. If we take a quick look at Arsenal's starting 11, it's Raya in goal, it's Calafiore, it's Gabriel, Saliba and Timber, so that's fine. That's your strong back five, basically five centre-halves across the back with a really top goalkeeper. This is where it gets interesting. He starts with Declan Rice, he starts with Zubimendi, fine. He starts Moreno in midfield, and then his front three is Trossard, Gyökeres and Madueke. Funny enough, Trossard actually has an alright game in there. But as soon as the team dropped, immediately I thought, he's done it again. He's going to be a little bit safe and a little bit physical and a little bit compact with his team. Listen to Gary Neville's podcast, he said this too, and I thought exactly the same thing when I seen the team. You've got five centre-halves there, as I've said, plus a world-class goalkeeper. You've then got Zubimendi and Rice. So, yeah, sometimes you want Rice to get into the box and attack and things like that, and he can do that. But you've got Zubimendi and Rice. Do you really need to play Moreno in there as well? You've got enough there. That's 7 players that are going to be solid and can be defensive for you as well if you want to go with that. He starts Moreno, who he'll probably argue, obviously plays a little bit at number 9 last season for them and gets him some goals. He'll probably argue, I want him getting into the box and making runs into the box and he can get us some goals. Alright, fine. He starts Trossard off the left instead of Martinelli, who he's obviously not fancied Martinelli a little bit this season. He's making Martinelli come off the bench and he's been very impactful as he was again yesterday. And like I say, Trossard does have a good game, but it's a little bit more of a defensive left winger approach for me than Martinelli is. Madueke starts off the right. By the way, FootMob's got Madueke rated at 6.0. I thought Madueke had a great game, which I'll get into. But he starts Trossard off the left, Madueke off the right, and obviously Gyökeres to the middle. So as soon as the team drops, I just think he's doing it again. He's not taking the handbrake off. He's playing it safe first before he goes ahead and tries to be attacking. And I think they talked a lot about this on Sky yesterday after, but he wasted the first 45 minutes. He really, really did waste the first 45 minutes. Haaland gets the goal. You know, a lot of people were saying online on Twitter when I was looking at halftime in the game, what a goal, Haaland's an unbelievable number 9 and all that. It's an easy goal. It really is an easy goal. He picks it up. Everyone, all the defenders and midfielders around him. He drops it into Reinders, who commits and commits and commits, plays a perfect ball. Haaland takes one touch in the box and he finishes. That's what Erling Haaland does. That's where you need to get him. He's an absolute monster and a machine. Gabriel looked like he was running in water. He was wearing a weighted vest or something, chasing him down. I think Neville said on commentary, Gabriel and Saliba are two of the quickest centre halves. Are they? Like, I think they're quite physical. Saliba might be a little bit, but I don't think I've ever thought Gabriel was pacey. Like, he's not slow, obviously. He's a professional football player in the Premier League, but I thought he's not that quick. So that was the goal, and they find themselves 1-0 down going into the break, and he obviously then decides to bring on Eze, and he brings on Saka at half-time. Much to the Arsenal fans, joy, and everyone kind of thinking, yeah, but like I said, it really did feel like a waste of 45 minutes. Even throughout that first half, I thought City, it was very much Pep Linders, and you can see Pep Linders' influence on the City team massively. It's a lot of stuff like counter-pressing and counter-attacking off the ball. I've seen it for years under Klopp with Liverpool. Even their high line, when they concede the goal, which I'll get into, is Pep Linders and Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool 100%. But I thought City were really good, that they almost came and knew for the first time in a long time, we're not going to have the ball here and we're not going to try and dominate the ball. And Pep did say that in his interviews after the game, and he said, look, it's not what I would want to. I prefer have the ball. You know me, for my whole career, it's about having the ball. But today we felt like we had to do that, and that's an interesting switch from a City point of view. But he brings on Eze, he brings on Saka at half time. It definitely makes a difference. Saka was okay, not great. Obviously he's not fit and everything like that. Like, I totally get it. But he said Madueke picked up a knock. He didn't feel great. Fair enough for bringing him off. I thought Madueke was the most impactful player in the first half. I thought he's looked really sharp and really bright since going to Arsenal, because I wasn't too sure on that. 50 million from Chelsea. I also thought, I know Chelsea are a bit mad with the transfer business, but I also thought if Chelsea are going to sell him and are willing to sell him, then, he can't be that good. But under a bit of coaching, he looked really dangerous, and for me was their best player and was where everything was going to come from. And, he brings them on and they go for it a little bit. Bit of a nothing kind of second half, to be honest with you. City are very compact. They change that shape. They almost go 4-5-1, and they're almost kind of doing an Arsenal and saying, come in and break us down. And they're very, very physical. And they eventually they go and get the goal. It says over the top, and Martinelli gets the equaliser. And you maybe felt, can they push on and try and get a last minute winner? I predicted them to win this game 2-1. And I really thought they should have gone and they should have taken the game to City and they should have got the ball down. And I think if he starts, let's just say Eze, because Trossard, okay, Trossard's not terrible and he has a good game, right? But let's just say he just starts Eze there, and it's Eze, Gyökeres, Madueke, and Trossard up top with Rice and Zubimendi in behind. You can maybe ask Rice and Zubimendi to take turns on bombing forward as well to get into the box. I think you take it to this City team whose back five is Kushinov at right back. He's easily get at. Ruben Diaz is, doesn't really feel like he's the Ruben Diaz that we've seen in the last couple of years. Carvajal, who I do like and actually has a good game. And Nico O'Reilly, again, who's decent, but he's a young defender. Donnarumma, new to the league, although he actually has a decent game. I just thought you can go and take it against that City team, who, again, talking about them, they've started with Doku, Haaland, Reinders, Foden, and Bernardo Silva, who, again, that's 5 attacking players there on the pitch, where Rodri in behind, fine, you would say Reinders maybe sits in there with Rodri, but he's the more attacking of the two, right? So even City have picked kind of a bit more of an attacking lineup there than Arsenal, and to kind of go with it in the counter-press. FootMob actually has them kind of set up in that 4-5-1 shape, and yeah, on City, it was interesting. It was something that it was a trait that we haven't seen Pep really ever employ or have to employ in his coaching career because of how dominant he is on the ball. But as I've been saying in a lot of recent videos, I just think that time and that style of football is kind of past, and teams are over it, and it's on to the next thing, which I think is just really being adaptability and taking a lot more risks with 1v1 attackers and things like that. And I thought City just really interesting to see how Pep adapted to the game. I thought they were solid. I thought they were the feisty ones. I thought they were the physical ones. I thought they really nullified Arsenal's set-piece threat. They're big boys anyway. A lot of them are big. Haaland comes back from corners. Donnarumma, most goalkeepers are 6 foot plus, so when he's coming out and he can use his hands and he can jump up, he's probably touching about 7 foot there. And I just thought they nullified that from Arsenal, and they knew that was coming, and Donnarumma was really good at that. And I've got to give Donnarumma praise because he's a good goalkeeper. He does make good shot stops. It's definitely an upgrade on Trafford, no question. I think the some saves he makes yesterday, and also against Man United, that Trafford just doesn't make, and it's going to save them points. But he's a little bit of, what was he doing? Like, he's not quite connected with the defence. They're not quite connected yet in terms of the line and stuff they want to play. But where is he there? Where is he for the Martinelli lob? Look, it's a great ball. It's a great touch. It's a great finish from Martinelli. Take nothing away from it. And I can be quite harsh on goalkeepers, always have been through coaching. But I just wonder where you are there. I want my goalkeeper to be front-footed, but he just seems a little bit far out there, and he's never going to get it. The gap's too big, and maybe that's a bit more to do with the City line, which, again, as I said, is Pep Linders all over. It's backing yourselves to be offside and backing VAR, to be quite honest with you, to kind of call it and your line to be spot on and someone to be caught offside there. So, again, that's Pep Linders all over it, and City are, transitional out of the three. I don't... They're there for the taking, and that's really my point. And I think as Arsenal fans, you have to start to be a little bit frustrated. Does him making the subs at half-time with Eze and Saka mean that he kind of recognised that and he kind of thought, yeah, we did? But it was just a huge waste of 45 minutes, in particular at home. I get going away to the Etihad, even if City maybe aren't in the grace of form, you're wary of them, you maybe want to make sure you're in the game and stuff like that. But at home, I said it in the preview show building up at the weekend, they had to come and take it to them, and they didn't. And from a Liverpool perspective, brilliant to see. Best result possible. Both teams dropped points when Liverpool have got the win. And, he got questioned a lot on the midfield, Arteta, after the game, and he kept saying, I picked it in the midweek against Bilbao, and none of you guys questioned it. And it's kind of like, yeah, but that's an away... Again, it's an away European game. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it in specific games. It's just, this for me was the game, the moment to put City to the side, to put them out of the question and say, it's us and Liverpool, and we're right on your tails, and we're going to be coming for you, and we're going to be taking risks. And they just didn't do it again, and I would be frustrated. So Arsenal fans, let me know what you thought. City, very, very interesting. They're still dangerous. They've got the big man up top, but they're not great. They're not great, are they? They're not great. And it's actually interesting that I do still think they'll come third. relatively comfortably based on how kind of Chelsea look, which we'll get into in a little bit. But if you just look at the stats, the momentum graph does have Arsenal kind of really a lot of momentum during the game. City have their moments, absolutely. But again, I don't remember too much going on. Arsenal have 12 shots. City have 5, a total of 2 big chances for Arsenal, and a total of 2 big chances for City. So again, a tight game, and these top games in the Prem kind of are a little bit like that now, aren't they? They're so tactical and not wanting to kind of lose before you win, which again, I'm just a bit the opposite. There comes a time in a game if it's late on, all right, you maybe walk away with a point, especially if you're the away team, and City will be hurt by that and feel like, a win would have been huge for them and a big boost to them. But I just think as the home team, you have to go for it, and they haven't done it, and it's going to be question mark after question mark if he continues to keep doing that, because based off his interview and his press conference, it doesn't look like he's going to be changing it. It really doesn't. He doesn't look like he sees it the way everyone else is seeing it. And I was having to think, like, what teams have won the league by being a bit more pragmatic and defensively? Mourinho's Chelsea team, probably Conte's Chelsea team, although they were pretty decent going forwards. But you would associate Conte in your head with being compact and quite tight. Anyway, Man United win leagues under Fergie. It's always open, expansive football. City, obviously, with Pep, is open, expansive football. Liverpool under Klopp is definitely open, expansive football. Liverpool under Slot is definitely a bit more open, expansive football. I don't think I'm missing anyone. Like, it's an outlier to win the league that way. Goals, it's always said, like, attack wins you games, defense wins you titles. Yes, but when you go too far one way or the other, and Arsenal are just so far on the defense thing the last 3 years, they just don't look like they're going to change it. And look, let's see, it's 5 games in. Maybe he'll adapt it and change it after what he's seen yesterday. Maybe what they do will be the outlier season that gets them over the line. But if you look at, I don't even think City, but if you just look at Liverpool, which we'll get into now, the goals that they have, and they're going to score 2-3 goals a game. All right, they're not keeping clean sheets necessarily, but Liverpool just feel like they have goals and risks, and they're going forwards, and they're going to create chances. Arsenal just don't feel like that. The handbrake is just on in a certain way. So let's see what happens with it. Let's see what happens. But